All right, hey everyone. Welcome to our asynchronous lesson for Module 6, Unit 3. Today we're going to talk about high impact teaching strategies. And so I am going to share a resource with you. I'm also going to have this resource available to you in the discussion forum for this week. So if you'd like to explore it more in depth, you absolutely can. I'm going to go ahead and open this up for you and we'll take a look at it together. All right, so this is the resource that I've shared with you in the discussion forum, and it notes 6 examples of high impact teaching strategies. The reason that we're covering high impact teaching strategies this week is because we are going to begin diving into our lesson planning unit. And this is where we come up with different activities that really help foster learning and growth in our classrooms. So here are the examples, strategies that we've got in this resource here. The first one is using visuals in your explanations. And as we know, the use of visuals is also a universal design strategy as well. It's great for your language learners and your special needs learners in helping them to conceptualize what you're talking about, especially for those language learners who might not be able to keep up with the language that you're delivering. So providing visuals can really go a long way for supporting understanding. And over here, this scale here, if you remember back to Module 2 when we talked about the Hattie's effects model, this is kind of shows you how this works. So the average impact, it's a positive 4, and can even move up to a positive 7 with the modality of visual strength here. So an example of what this could look like is if you were teaching history and you were maybe noting a timeline, providing a visual of this timeline can really help students to understand what that looks like, in addition to hearing how the timeline is working. Teaching strategy, teaching strategy, I guess I can't talk. Teaching strategy 2, concept mapping. All right, here you can see the Hattie's effects is also very much in the positive. So this is definitely a high impact teaching strategy. This is where these high impact teaching strategies come from, is from the Hattie's effects model, is we're able to identify the things that really help students most. And here they are. That way you can put them into your lesson plans. So concept mapping looks like this. We've done a few mind mapping activities throughout previous modules, so you're probably pretty familiar with this, but organizing information in this way can help students to understand how these concepts all connect together and work together. Strategy 3, worked examples. You can see here the Hattie's effects, how impactful this is. And then this is a great example for math classes, is demonstrating over and over again how to do a process can help students to really master that process. I think also this goes along with, actually it says right here, that I do, we do, you do model, kind of gradually releasing the responsibility by doing a few examples on the board, maybe having a few students work together, and then putting those on the board and then moving into individual work. That way students get more practice, they get to see it, they get to try it, and then they get to master it on their own. Strategy 4, plenty of practice. Practice makes, well, they used to say practice makes perfect. Now they say practice makes permanent. I still think they're both pretty effective sayings, but again, so practice is definitely a great strategy as well. Strategy 5 is feedback. The way that we give our students feedback is really important. So making sure that that feedback is timely. That way they're able to make those changes in real time. And then also making sure that the feedback is specific. Strategy 6, classroom discussion. Classroom discussions are a great way to assess what students know about a topic and also allow them to extend their knowledge. Um, you can note some different ways to host a classroom discussion over here as well. And these are also good resources. You can check those out. So again, just a quick wrap up of those: visuals, concept maps, worked examples, practice, 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 feedback, and using the classroom as a space for discussion. All right. So now that you've had a look at these high impact teaching strategies and you have the link for this resource as well in the discussion forum, we're going to move into the activity that I want you to do for this week, which is called a carousel activity. We did one of these in module 4. So you've seen this document before. The difference is because we're doing it independently today, you're not going to be bouncing around in the breakout rooms like we did in module 4. What we're going to do here is you're just going to go ahead and independently respond to these 3 questions. And this is going to be how you get your attendance credit for today's VC. So just watch this video, add a response to each of these, and then I will mark you as having attended for today's asynchronous lesson. I'll go over the questions real quick with you. Question 1, what are some age-appropriate strategies for including visuals and concept maps into your lessons and content presentation? For this, I want you to think about the age group and the subject area that you teach and think about ways that you could integrate those high-impact teaching strategies into your lessons. Question 2, strategies 3 and 4 involve offering time to practice new skills during the lesson. What are some activities you use with your students to help them practice new skills? How do you use the I do it, we do it, you do it release of responsibility? Again, this one can reflect on the subject area and the grade that you teach. Question 3, what are some differentiation strategies for supporting your language learners and your special needs students in high impact teaching strategies like offering feedback and hosting classroom discussions? How can you accommodate your unique learners in those circumstances? All right, so that is really it for your responsibilities for today, is just watch this quick video and then check out this link, which I sent to you in the email. It is also available in the discussion forum, and respond to each of these questions. I'm also just going to take a few minutes to go over this week's upcoming activities on the platform, just so I don't leave you high and dry, although I do have the usual cheat sheets for each of those available in the discussion forum as well. Fortunately, this week's activities are pretty straightforward. Activity 2 is another one of these watch the videos. I'm going to start with this one in the description. The only tricky thing about this one, you've been doing these annotation activities all through module 6, so I know you're getting the hang of it and I know you're doing well on these. The only thing that's different about this one is you're going to watch 2 videos. Video 3 is mandatory, but the other video that you choose can be either video 1 or 2. I'm going to repeat that. So you're only going to watch 2 videos. You have a choice between video 1 and 2, and then everyone must watch video 3. All right, let's take a look at activity 1. Activity 1, we are going to dive into our lesson plan template. This lesson plan template, which you can find in the activity resources right here, this is the template you're going to be using all through module 8 as you complete your clinical practice and create a lesson plan for each of the lessons that you're going to video record in module 8. So today, or this week, we're going to get our first bit of practice using this template. I'm going to go over it with you just a little bit, so in case any questions pop up, you have a little bit of an overview. Over here, you're going to put your name, the lesson title, the grade level and course that you're working with, and the time segment of your lesson. In the time segment, it's good to let us know how long the lesson is. So if you are teaching a 40-minute lesson, use this space to indicate that. If you're teaching for 2 hours, use this space to indicate that. The standard that we're addressing in the lesson, this is not our in-task standards. So this is going to be the standards that you pulled from previously in this module. So those standards that we unpacked in module 1, or no, not module 1, module 6, unit 1, and then the standards that we also input in our curriculum maps and in our unit plans that we created last week. Our overarching goal and objectives, heads up, I will be checking to see that these are Smart. It does say here, and I think I noted this earlier in the previous VC. What's weird about this is we've always used the phrase SMART goals, but in this lesson plan template, we have SMART noted here in the objectives. And so whether you choose to, actually, let's go ahead and get in the habit of putting SMART objectives in here because your Module 8 instructor might be more strict on this. For me, I'm fine if you have either a SMART goal or a SMART objective. I really prefer my objectives to be more student-centered, using phrasing like students will be able to, or students will this, or students can that. That way, it's more something that you can just take directly into the classroom, and it also holds students accountable. Here you're going to include your diversity. So even if you don't have any language learners or any special needs students or students with IEPs in your class, let's go ahead and just add them anyways, and then brainstorm how we would differentiate just in case tomorrow a new student gets put in your class and they are a language learner. Formative and summative assessments. You may not have any summative assessments in this lesson, and that's okay. Here in the green, it says if there's no summative assessment, you can just make a note of what the summative assessment will be in the upcoming weeks. Moving on, some discussion questions. What's great about the discussion questions is it gives you a chance to support higher order thinking and make connections to real world concepts. So how can you take the content of the lesson that you're sharing here and then turn it into a discussion that connects the students to the outside world and also supports those higher order thinking skills? Moving on, we've got a section for 21st century skills and how you'll be incorporating those. Any literacy skills, and then teaching strategies. This is where you're going to kind of layer out your activities. So maybe you start with a review at the beginning of class, then move into a game, and then move into a discussion, and then move into a worksheet. This would be where you label that. And then the last section here, well, there's references as well, but the last main section here focusing on this lesson is going to be your materials, technology, and websites. So this is great in case you were ever to use this template and then have a substitute teacher step into your shoes, making sure that they have the access to the links that they're going to use. Maybe if you're using Class Dojo, or maybe you're going to use Get Epic, then you have the links to any reading that's right here. You also might make note of any worksheets that you're printing out, make a note of how many copies are required for your class and anything like that. Just all of getting your ducks in a row. All right. So for this, you're just going to be completing that lesson plan template. We are going to be using that template again all the way through Module 8, and that's what you're going to be focused on. Here in the discussion forum, I've also got that link to those high impact teaching strategies, as well as the carousel activity with those questions that you're answering for this VC. If you have any questions about any of these activities or anything else at all, please reach out to me via email. I'm always happy to hear from you. I hope that you enjoy your Sunday to yourself this week. I'll see you next week at our usual time.